Hi darlings, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. And today I have day one of the Witness to the Wonder devotional. This is the ByTheWell4God December Advent Kit. And I love this from the get-go. I sat down and I already studied days 1 through 4. And I get my kits a little bit earlier, so I just was going through them day by day. And so I wanted to journal day 1 right here in this Bible. So I wanted to show you in the front of this Bible, I actually have, let me take my clip off, all of my kit stickers from the kits that I've been working in this Bible. So you'll see that in the front there. And so that's kind of something new that I've been starting with this Bible, because I wanted to use this for the last season of Christmas or fall and Christmas, and I may be able to go even further with it because I still have tons of room left. But yes, I'm going to journal day 1. And so with the kit, we received a card, and these usually have little clippies attached to it. So it has here Galatians 4, 4, and 5, which was one of the verses in the Witness to the Wonder. So what I wanted to do was use this to go ahead and kind of start off my page. And on the bottom of here, it has all of these beautiful whimsical trees, and this was actually an add-on stamp, the Trees of Wonder. So if you can see, I love that, and I love these whimsical trees, so I wanted to use them in this page. And so also, just to add some color to it, I wanted to use this beautiful plaid that came in the pattern paper. And so I pulled the label as well, and just in case it gets too much, I have the other labels here. And then I was thinking to jazz up the page a bit, I'm going to use, I have some sequins in this darker burgundy red tone that I'm going to use on the trees. So I have some ideas. I don't perfectly know where I'm going with it, but I'm gonna take you along for the ride, and let's dig in. Okay, darling, so first I'm gonna use this plastic to put it behind my page because I knew I was gonna stamp a little bit off the page. And I'm gonna pull out the Trees of Wonder stamp set. There are such pretty trees in this stamp set. They're all whimsical and different, and there's 7 different trees to choose from. I picked 4 of them, and I'm going to line them up here on my page. Some of them are gonna be just off the page because I want to make sure I'm not covering up the verses that I want to focus on here in Galatians chapter 4, verses 4 through 5. So I'm using my favorite VersaFine ink, and I am just going to go ahead and prep the stamp by just rubbing it on my skin first, and then I take the ink pad and then I ink up the stamp. And I'm just going to be using this black ink because I want to fill in the colors with how it looks like in the back of the stamp set with some watercolors in that comes with the kit. So it's already in your kit if you would have picked that up. So here we are. Now this tree is a little short. So what I did is I did a bit of a masking technique. I had a piece of washi tape on my desk. So I covered up the top of that so I can stamp that again, and that makes my tree a little longer. Loved how that turned out. So I went ahead and used my heat gun so I can really make sure that that ink is dry. Once the archival ink of the VersaFine ink is already dry, it is permanent. So now I can go in with my water brush, and I'm just using a Tim Holtz watercolor brush and just a little bit of water and a little dab on that color, and I can go ahead and fill in my trees. A little goes a long way with these. And on the back, if you don't know how to use these, they do have the 3 easy steps for how to use these Daniel Smith extra fine watercolors. So I am now mixing in a little bit of the blue, but then I know that I had another card with some Christmas colors that I set aside. So I'm just going to use the color on that side. So the first color that I used was the Undersea Green that comes with the kit. And then I have that old card from 25 Gifts, and I'm using the Perusian Green. And that is more of a like bluish green. I love that. So now that I have done that, I'm going to dry off these watercolors. I just want to make sure everything is dry because I will be doing some embossing later. So here I am underlining my verses. So the verses that I'm focusing on are Galatians 4, verses 4 and 5. But when the fullness of the time had come, God had sent forth his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive the adoption as sons. And I loved the point of view in this verse. Judy talks to us about sneak peeks that the Lord has given us through the Bible, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, about the wonder-inducing arrival of the Messiah. And I love just looking at this verse in a different light, because it is so wonderful to see that the Lord chose to redeem us. And the way he did it by bringing his son, born of a woman. I mean, God incarnate, coming in through a humble servant, Mary. And what a wonder it is to see that he chose to redeem us through a baby, through a child. And so here you see me grab that card. This card was part of the Clippies, as I said, and I matted on some of that pattern paper, and I just used my scissors to rough up the edges, and that I will use at the top of my page. Now I'm going through the clear stickers, and I want to write down these words that I found in day one, where Judy tells us that she hopes that we discover some of the sneak peeks that are in the Bible, but also she says she hopes that it rekindles our wonder. So here, my title for this page is Rekindle the Wonder. So after I get my title down, now I'm going to move on to kind of picture where I'm going to have this card and also where I'm going to have my journaling. So I know I want my card on the top right-hand side, but then there's lots of white space. So I decide to pull out the Home for the Holidays stamp set. And on there, they have like a cluster of different stars. And I'm going to use this Versamark water ink, and this is just a sticky ink, so this is going to mark some stickiness here across my page with this stamp. And then I'm going to add the Ranger Princess Gold embossing powder, and doing that, I'm going to emboss these onto my page. Now I already know that my page doesn't have anything wet because I dried it really well with my heat tool, but I want to be careful to just keep the embossing powder to where I want it to stick to that sticky ink. So placing a little piece of paper under that, I go ahead and add that on, make sure it's spread across, and then as you can see, I'm trying to shift all of that embossing powder off of my page. And now I'm gonna add the excess back into that little glass. And then I'm going to use this is a blush brush. And what I'm going to do is just take off some of that excess embossing powder before I start heat setting that. I love watching embossing powder turn. So this is one of my favorite techniques to do. Although it's really hard to do in a Bible, it's easier to do somewhere else and then cut out and add to a Bible. But I love how it turned out. Now I'm going to add ornaments, so to speak, to my tree. So I decided to use some of these sequins that I had in my stash. It was the perfect dark red color that matched with the kit. So I am using my Fabri-Tac glue, and I'm just adding a little dot in the back of this and adding that to my trees here to mark as ornaments. Just adding a little more shimmer and glam to the page. Now, if you're wondering, yes, Fabri-Tac is for fabric, but it does work well with pieces like this, and it doesn't harm the Bible page in any way, and it's transparent, so I love to use it in other ways as well. Now I'm using the same pattern paper I backed my verse in to just punch out a couple of tabs. I'm going to use that towards the top, and then I'm going to grab one of the Clippies that came with the kit. I want to create a ruffle, so I'm going to take it off the clip and grab the Fabri-Tac glue once again. And now I'm just going to use a method that I learned from someone else. Basically, it's just adding one tab of glue and then just folding in that piece of fabric over and over. I sped this up a lot, but I wanted to keep this in here just in case you wanted another idea on how to use the fabric clippies that come with the kit. This dries really fast, so honestly, it just needs a couple of seconds of you holding it down with your finger, and then you can continue to create that ruffle. I also have seen people use the Tim Holtz tiny attacher. That works as well. I just like to use a Fabri-Tac glue because it bonds well, basically. And there's no reason for me to use up my staples and my tiny attacher if I don't need to. So here I add a chunk of a line of glue on the bottom part of that ruffle. And now I'm gonna add that to the back piece of my card, and there it is. You can add a clip to help it set for a while until it dries off, and you can either leave it there or use it at the top of your page. I'm gonna use that clip at the top of my page to keep it in place. And now I just add a prayer asking the Lord to help me rekindle the wonder as I go through the study this season. And that is that. I do add my date stamp over on the right hand side at the bottom of the page, and I add the tab at the top left of my page as well. Lastly, I'm just going to adhere the flashcard that has the word redeem and Galatians chapter 4 verses 4 and 5 towards the back of here, and that is it. That wraps up my page. That is it, darlings. I love how it turned out, and I love all the sparkle that I ended up adding to this page. It just reminds me of the beauty of this season and what it represents. So thank you so much for joining me on my channel. If you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing, hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.